Hey everyone, welcome to Ink Scribes, the comics podcast where we discuss the art and craft of comics. I'm Colin Singh. I'm an aspiring comics artist and lifelong student of the craft. And I'm joined by my co host, Eric Zawadzki, the artist on Assorted Crisis Events, out now from Image Comics, and Taylor Stauft, the creator of the forthcoming Luke Zenith's Wedding Day, part of the anthology Faster Than Light Volume 2. And the link is in the description below. Today, we're going to continue our look at Barry Windsor-Smith's early career, starting with Daredevil 50 to 52, published in 1969 by Marvel Comics.
So in this show, we like to track the career and development of comic artists. And with Barry Windsor-Smith, we have one of the best artists to ever do it. Yeah, so as Colin said, this is the second episode in this series. Previously, we looked at the first couple of comics that Barry Windsor-Smith did at Marvel. X-Men number 53 and Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. number 12. So I recommend people check out that episode. But in this episode, we have the comics he did following that, which were these Daredevil comics. And also, I think we mentioned previously that it seemed Marvel almost referred to him as the English Jack Kirby. So,
I thought they straight up said it. They said,
Yeah, they pretty much said.
well, it was on an unpublished cover.
"Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Oh,
And
right.
yeah, and we don't even know who wrote that. Maybe Barry Windsor-Smith himself wrote it.
The balls on this kid. Get him out of here."
But he's kind of
Yeah.
the English Jack Kirby / Jim Steranko, as we'll see
Yeah,
as we go through these comics.
he's a weird synthesis of like late '60s art.
Well, they credit him as for these Daredevil issues as a bashful Barry Smith, and he was 19, 20 when he came to the States. And he went to the Marvel offices, so he must have been like a really fresh-faced kid, green around the gills, and I don't know,
A
very
long-haired hippie.
humble. Yeah, yeah, long-haired hippie for sure.
Oh yeah,
Um, but I can picture him being he's a kid amongst giants. You know.
Yeah, so Daredevil 50 was released, I believe, January 9th, 1969. It's got a cover date of March 1969, though. Um,
never clear how those work. It's 3 months
uh,
behind. It's 3 months ahead.
yeah, from my understanding, I might not be fully correct on this, but it was for the newsstand. It was like this date was to communicate to like the news agent that if this comic is still there in March, it's past its like if you're in April and you have a March book, it's been there for like 3 months. So it's
Mm,
time to send it back and get your money back.
I
Okay, right.
see. Right.
Tear that cover off and send it back. Okay.
Yeah, which what is that a reference to, Taylor? For people who don't understand the tearing the cover off.
Oh yeah. So back in the newsstand days, you would, if you were a retailer and you had old or surplus books, you would tear those covers off, and I think you'd send the cover itself back, right, with the understanding that, well, this book is no good now because there's no cover, which is why
Well,
you'll.
the understanding was that you threw it in the trash,
Yeah.
and to
Well,
save on shipping, they didn't want the all the comics sent back, so just send the cover as evidence that you ripped it up. And a lot of places actually just
Just
kept.
yeah, they
you
just
know,
kept selling them at a
to speak
discount.
to that,
Yeah.
yeah, my uncle used to work at a paper mill before he retired, and he would bring home stacks of coverless comics,
Yeah.
like monthly, because they would all get recycled and sent to the paper mill to be recycled, right?
Oh, interesting.
So used to have, I mean, because the cover, this was around when I was. He used to bring them home quite often, obviously, but I didn't really start to take notice until I got into comics. I could read 5, 6 years old, and but it killed me that the cover was torn off, and I would be pissed. He would bring home stacks of these coverless comics. And I'm like, why did the cover torn off? And
That's
he's like, I don't know. He's like, they're just, it's paper. He tried to explain to me his
It's
job,
free.
right? And I just didn't get it, right?
that's a
But I still read them. I still drew pictures out of them and whatnot. But yeah,
Where are they now?
They're all coverless. I probably discarded them as soon as I went through them.
Oh man.
There
Which
was
was the view at the time, right? Like
yeah,
that's an interesting
but
note on the
I
shift.
got exposed to Archie, Ninja Turtles, and obviously Spider-Man, the big two, Marvel, DC, and all those books. But like I got exposed to everything through these coverless comics.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah.
Yeah, because comics were seen as a super disposable medium at the time, right?
Mm.
In '69, there's barely anybody collecting them with an eye to I'm going to have them all. They were meant to be, folded up, traded, drawn over,
Mm.
drawn on. Who cares? It would be great if they did have the cover, but so what? The contents is at the time believed to be what's really important. So it's no wonder that this is like you would see all kinds of coverless ones coming in. But by the time you're getting them, Colin, there is more of a collector mentality
Hmm.
amongst fans.
That's right.
Yeah, which is why it's always impressive when you see an old comic in pristine
Yeah.
condition. Like, what? How did this happen?
Yeah, because a lot of them would just get torn. Somebody moves away to college, their mom finds a box, tosses them, or gives them away, or whatever. A lot of them got
Yeah, I
burnt.
mean, even finding something that's in condition that's like this is pretty impressive. I mean, although this is still a reader copy, it's kind of messy, but still, yeah, the staples kind of coming off on the bottom, but
Mm.
still not bad.
We're all about reader
Oh,
copies
actually, the never
Yeah.
mind, the whole cover is off.
here.
I
you
still
can
have
fix
the
that.
cover though.
You can fix that.
So right away it says produced by Smilin Stan Lee and Bashful Barry Smith. So I guess Stan Lee wrote every Daredevil comic up until issue 50 because with 51 Roy Thomas takes over.
Now,
But yeah, they continue the Bashful Barry Smith. I guess that's the alliteration. That's the word Stan Lee came up with, and it stuck for a couple of years.
oh yeah, it was a huge part of making Marvel stand out amongst the other companies. You get to know, oh, Barry Smith drew this. The DC Gold Key, everybody. It's not like they were doing that, and if they did, it was only because they were taking it from Marvel as like, oh, you guys are really climbing up those sales charts.
Yeah,
And
and that was part of the fun of Marvel is
Yeah, it made you feel like you were part of the bullpen.
yeah, big
yeah,
time.
there was a fun sort of like I don't want to say unprofessional aspect, but it didn't seem like the stuffy old professionals that the DC comics were.
Mm.
Which they were,
And
right? Like they went into the office. Artists went into the office in suit jackets and ties,
Yeah.
right? They take them off and roll up their sleeves, but they're still walking around like it's Sterling Cooper and start drawing Superman.
I guess it was just like a Joe job
Yeah.
back then, right? It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
clock in, clock out kind of. Yeah, and you know, uh, you know, I don't have a sterling reputation when it comes to talking about Stan Lee. Like I don't have the most positive things to say about him considering his reputation, but you have to give him credit. The secret to the success of Marvel was the fun atmosphere, the sort of self-aware breaking of the fourth wall aspect of the captions. I think Jack Kirby, although he wrote like Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko did most of the writing,
Oh yeah.
they were both very serious with their writing,
Yeah.
and Stanley added that element of fun.
Yeah. He's make it feel like, this is actually for kids. Because I think the two you mentioned, Ditko and Kirby, I think they were some of the few people that like, no, this is the job I want to do. I don't want to be in like commercial illustration and I took this job because I'm not a good enough artist. This is what I want to be doing, and this is a viable medium for any
Yeah,
age.
I'm not slumming it
Mm.
here in
Yeah,
comics like what
and
most people thought.
which is
Which
what
Stan Lee thought. Stan Lee
yeah,
thought he was slumming it in comics.
and it's what a
Yeah.
lot of the artists thought, right? Like, yeah, you could make a lot more working in the art department of a advertising agency or a department store or whatever.
So just to fill the audience in, or not fill the audience in, is just to recap from our last episode. So Windsor-Smith has a huge Kirby influence at this time in his career, and you can tell it just from this first page. Like he's already employing, in terms of anatomy and figure drawing, a lot of those thick black lines on the killer
Perspective.
robot, the perspective, the force perspective, and so the other thing is actually, Eric, can you quickly fill these guys in on what the story is for these before we go forward? I mean, it's in medias res. It's basically him being beat the shit out of by a killer robot. But all the when a story starts, even in medias res with a Marvel story back in the day, like Stan Lee still throws this thought balloon in here where he's explaining what just happened before you see this image of this killer robot about to destroy Daredevil wrapped up in this mattress.
This is bizarre.
Yeah, I guess this gangster hired a scientist to create a robot to kill Daredevil out of revenge, and yeah, that's what happened in the last issue. Yeah, it should be noted these are Action Comics made for like 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
So
At this time,
Yeah.
1969. So
Yeah,
Daredevil is only 6 years old by this time, or 7 years old.
I just finished the Zdarsky run on Daredevil, and I can't think of a book that has changed more than Daredevil. Like, this is
right,
a
that's a
gangster
good
has
point.
hired a scientist to build a robot, a thinking robot to kill Daredevil. And by the time you get to 2019 to 2023, it's like Daredevil is a practicing Catholic who has abandoned his faith in order to become the chosen hand of the fist to defeat the hand. Hold on, let me give you some lore. It's all very mystical. Anyway, he
Yeah.
dies. Hold on, just no, stay there. His girlfriend is also Daredevil. Like it's just it's so different in almost every way, except for that sick suit.
So something we talked about last episode is that uh, this Nick Fury comic was inked by Barry Smith and Sid Green, and yeah, it just seemed that Sid Green had fixed a lot of
Yeah.
Barry Smith's figure work and faces, so that you like this is a Barry Smith face, but what we looked at was like that is
Mm,
not a
yeah.
Barry Smith
Mm.
face. That was Sid Green fixing the face. What's interesting is like right after this, he goes and works on this comic, and we have we have
Jenny Craig.
basically it's been penciled by Barry Smith, and it says embellishment by Johnny Craig. So does that mean that Johnny Craig just purely inked it, or does that mean he did a lot more than that? He was tasked with like I don't know fixing a lot of the work of this newcomer.
It looks like he's following the pencils pretty tightly. Like I'm sure he's adding in a little more tool based because a pencil and a quill or brush, they're different tools, but and you get different artifacts of them. But I took it to be embellishment is he's sticking pretty close because it looks pretty consistent throughout. There's not a lot of, okay, I'm just going to erase that face and make Foggy look, more like, I don't know, somebody else.
Well, yeah, I'm specifically looking at these Karen Page faces, and we can't know. All we can do is speculate. But yeah, I don't know. Does this look like it? Does it look like the same female faces that he's drawing?
No, but
I mean, it's hard to it's really difficult
I
to
feel like
say.
I can see a progression from one to the other, though, right?
Yeah, and that's another thing is like when you're this young, you progress so quickly in such a short period of time.
Yeah, you just read a bunch of the previous Daredevils before you started work and then go, oh, okay, that's what Karen's supposed to look like. I got it.
Yeah, and I don't know because like there weren't very many female faces in the Nick Fury comic, and it's just a point of curiosity. So probably something we'll never know.
Yeah,
But
we'll never
yeah,
know.
it is just interesting because sometimes you get someone credited as inker, sometimes embellishment, but I mean the credits are always kind of like this is produced by Stan Lee and Barry Smith. Like if this is the first comic I'm ever picking up and I don't know any names, like what does that mean? Like what who did what?
Yeah, and I
Who's
think
Yeah.
Larry
this
Lieber
Stan Lee fella?
did a bunch of work on these sorts of these C tier, B tier books that were like, yeah, fill in the dialogue for me.
Yeah, and yeah, I should say that here's a quote from Barry Windsor-Smith. Um, he said, "I was always plotting my own stories right from the beginning. X-Men 53 I just made up. The Daredevil Star Saxon story was stream of consciousness fabrications of mine. To give the scripter some clue as to what was going on, I would write my own dialogue on the edge of the pages."
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
So Barry Windsor-Smith is on record basically saying that he made these stories up, and Stan Lee and Roy Thomas would see the notes on the side of the original art, and then they'd provide dialogue.
Yeah, which is like that was the writer's test at Marvel, right? Here's a blank. Here's 5 pages of Kirby's blank artwork. Write me up what they're going to say.
Yeah, and that's why it's always interesting to pick up a random '60s Marvel comic, and then sometimes you'll see a name that you've never heard of, and it's like, well, that person lasted like 2 months.
Yeah. Yeah, realized they were doing way more than they got paid for, and said to hell with this.
So here we have the DeLuca effect, which is always fun to see. Which in our very first Barry Windsor-Smith episode, is a kind of prelude episode that we did several months ago, which was talking about his 3 styles. We did talk about the origin of the name DeLuca effect, and yeah, so it's always fun to see it show up in these early comics.
This is also we're starting to see. I think I mean, we'll see it later on in the other issues, but it feels like he is starting to break away from more and more from that kind of very staid, grid heavy, structured page.
Yeah,
Like
it just
just to
Yeah,
look
figures out
effect
of the panel
itself.
borders and whatnot. Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and just like it feels like somehow it's not particularly large, but that top one, it feels longer just through how he's doing it.
yeah, and it's got that 3 dimensionality because he's landing outside of the panel. Like
Yeah.
he's really just like almost. It gives that effect of him popping out of the page,
Yeah.
which is a very cool effect. And yeah, the grid qualities. Whenever you see the grid qualities, that's Jack Kirby. But whenever you see like any sort of like popping out of the panel or experimentation with page design, that's Steranko. Um, if I can find the right page, because these early Sterenkos were
They were
the
pretty
layouts were done by Kirby,
Yeah.
but then when Steranko went out on his own, he started experimenting more with. Well, these are so. I guess the early Shield stuff was still very grid-like, and it wasn't until a little later on that he started really experimenting.
Yeah, I want to
I
say
think
it's when the book becomes Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, after it splits from uh, Strange Tales.
Hmm.
yeah, a better example would be like this Captain America stuff. Like you would never see a Kirby comic that had stuff like this.
Yeah,
Which, to be fair, like Kirby didn't have time to be crazy with the page design.
he had 8 pages a day to make.
Yeah, and to do interesting page designs, that just eats up so much time. So it's understandable that Jack Kirby would just have his like basic grids to keep to, because he's just got to get started on drawing those figures. He doesn't have time to like overthink the page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's so many different ways that you can convey a flashback sequence. So it's always fun to see like to find a new way that I've never seen before, and like to have
I like it.
Basically a regular panel balloon, but have like the bubbles on the side. Like, yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that before.
It goes into the actual bubble too, so that we get, oh, this is directly connected. It's yeah, I like
Yeah, it's
the,
her telling the story. Is
yeah, it's got like the word balloon tale, but it's really more of a thought. It's like her self narration.
yeah, yeah, that little bit there. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a neat little effect.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, it makes the panel look almost ornate, I think, which is pretty fun. And we've got the Kirby crackle. It's funny because in his very first comic, that X-Men 53, I pointed out that there was Kirby crackle on every single page.
Sure was.
So right here we get a bit of a break. It's not on every page, but it does pop up every now and then, which I think in his mind it was just that's what Marvel comics were supposed to look like. They
Yeah,
were
that's what
supposed to
energy
have
looks like, right?
all that stuff. Yeah, uh, it's called Kirby Crackle, but you could say it's just part of the comic book language. That's what
Yeah.
energy looks like, as you said.
Well, I mean, a lot of this type of concepts were being employed for the first time at this time, like energy or whatever the case, like smoke coming off a figure, or like somebody zapping someone with laser beams coming out of their fingertips and stuff like that. Like Kirby was the first to visualize most of that stuff. I won't say half, but most of that stuff, and it has a lasting effect now. Like even for today, like people still are about the Kirby crackle, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you're still trying to. People are still trying to uh, improve on or iterate on stuff that they're doing. Like when we see, even in this, when they're like the light is overwhelming. Uh, Barry Windsor-Smith will do like, I'm just going to do the outlines, or it's a bunch of dashes to indicate the figure rather than the full figure. And you
Mm,
can even see like, Pepe Larraz using different tones and building tones up to get similar but more representational effects today.
right.
This is interesting. We have a DeLuca effect here with the movement of Daredevil, and then we have another DeLuca effect here. But I guess this is showing that he's moving a lot faster because he's got like
That's what I took it to be. Yeah, it's more like he's going so fast you can see through him.
yeah. So it's a nice bit of contrast that he establishes.
There's
Uh,
also the fact that the robot is two different colors, and
I was
Daredevil
about
is
to bring
essentially
that
one.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah, Daredevil's just one color, red, and
oh yeah,
the effect wouldn't be the same. Um,
one.
she was colored as he was for each figure.
yeah, yeah. And we don't know how much of that was Barry Smith and how much of that was Johnny Craig. Was it? Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, Johnny
Johnny
Craig.
Craig. But I mean, we do know that Barry Smith puts a lot of thought into his storytelling, and so I wouldn't be surprised if it was all
Hmm.
Barry Smith himself.
Yeah.
So yeah, something we mentioned earlier is that like Stanley prized specifically in artists a sense of dynamism in the action. I guess that was Stanley wanted everybody to be Jack Kirby,
Mhm.
basically. And yeah, there are stories of like I guess when John Romita or John Buscema entered Marvel in the '60s, they had to be coached by Stan Lee to embrace this Kirby storytelling.
And
And
shown by Kirby, as I've heard it.
right, yeah, which I think you explained last episode is that
Yeah.
Kirby would give them a some lessons in studio.
Yeah.
But the thing about Barry Smith is he showed up and he had all these qualities right off the bat, which is like he was a 19-year-old, so he grew up basically on these Marvel comics. I don't know how. Like I think I had heard that like Marvel comics came to England as ballast for ships.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they did.
so
Yeah, the
was like
transport and supplies for military mostly.
oh right, that's right, yeah.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm just wondering was like 8-year-old Barry Smith Yeah, or I don't know. 1963 was when Fantastic Four debuted, right?
That's
Or
62.
Yeah, so he would have
62,
been
X-Men
what?
and Avengers in 63. And so like what how old would have Barry Smith been around that time? Like
12.
did he
Yeah, 12,
from like
13.
12 to 18 was he reading all of the Marvel comics?
He's probably reading older ones because it's what like it's it's all the old stuff that has to get to some packaging situation and then shipped
Mhm.
across the ocean.
Mhm.
So he's probably seeing like year-old ones, maybe. But
Or
yeah,
or yeah, or maybe just like the covers torn off and
that's probably a lot of it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
They were also
and
available at military base PX stores as well. Um,
yeah, I would love to pick his brain and find out how he got those old Marvel comics and
yeah,
because it seems like you know, I guess he got Jack Kirby Marvel just injected into his brain through his teen years. And
Well,
then he came out as this perfect, like this guy who got Jack Kirby in a time when like the in the professional environment, a lot of uh, I guess there were stories about artists who were just highly technically proficient, like some of the best artists that you could get working in comics who looked at Jack Kirby stuff and just did not get it. And we're just, yeah, but he's
all of
doing
DC.
this wrong. And like
Yeah.
this is this, like the kind of like the way that people talk about Rob Liefeld.
right. Well,
Well, I think there's a difference there.
my
Definitely, yeah, but
my uncle who worked at the paper mill, he grew up in England, and he's the same age as Barry Windsor-Smith, and he told me he used to get them from the newsstands and stuff because newspapers and stuff were a big
oh,
deal
okay.
back then too, and that's where you would get your magazines and some candy and stuff like that. So
The
back
news
in night,
agent.
yeah, a news agent, that's right. So in 62, 63, my uncle was also 12, 13 years old, and that's how he got his comics. And he said he bought everything. That's all he spent his money on back then. So
Because I'm a little fuzzy on this, but I thought there was a dark period where like there was no Marvel comics coming into the UK and there was only DC coming in. But
Ooh,
I might be
I wouldn't know
wrong.
anything about that personally.
Okay, so
yeah.
yeah, well, and Marvel and DC had the same distribution in the '60s, so that
Mm.
makes sense.
Not at this point though. Well, though, but yeah, during his childhood, yeah, DC was distributing Marvel books. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the late '60s when they could when they broke away from that, and then
Mhm.
Marvel could suddenly do more
Right.
comics because they had a limitation back then. But yeah, all that was to say that like Barry Smith was somebody who came into comics having grown up on Kirby, which had to be a new thing at that time.
Yeah.
But sorry, Kirby had been around for decades, so he had grown up on Marvel Kirby, I should say, which is and and that's why he epitomized everything that I think Stan Lee prized in an artist, which is this like sense of dynamism and great action and
Actually, can you go back? Because that is a great point. The third landscape panel on the right hand page,
Hmm.
yeah,
like that feels
right, yeah,
super Kirby influenced just in its huge perspective difference, right? The
Hmm.
heels of the robot and uh, and then the crouching small figure of Daredevil. Like that's a like you're playing with what's it called?
yeah, like focal length.
Focal length. Thank you. Yeah, focal length and the width of the panel and all kinds of stuff. Right. And that's Barry Windsor Smith's baseline.
Yeah, and yeah, just always playful. I feel yeah. Would we even get Jack Kirby doing stuff like this?
I don't think so because he's also doing it with that Foggy reaching for a pen
Yeah.
panel where it's just
Hmm.
like it's way too uh, exaggerated, but I think he's doing that in an attempt to make like this quiet thinking still scene still have some dynamism to it.
Yeah, like even the calm pages where he's just like monologuing to himself are just interesting to look at.
Yeah.
But if you go forward a few more pages from here, I think three, no, two pages, you see the guy with the shoes on the up on the desk,
Yeah.
Yeah.
reclining
Star
back.
Saxon.
Same thing.
And
Yeah.
and Daredevil popping out of that panel with his like the fist coming out, and he's just kind of hovering over. Yeah, he's it feels like Kirby is his baseline, and now that he's got this job, he's like, all right, what else can I do? Where can I go from Kirby? And he's kind of slowly in increments moving forward in pushing things like perspective and focal length and different panel layouts, and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, Barry Windsor-Smith, as we established, grew up in England and came to New York for the first time at age 19. So, yeah, I guess he saw New York for the first time like this summer before this issue came out. So I always find it interesting to see, like, he's drawing New York here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this is his, at this point he had only just seen New York for the first time. So this is like an outsider's perspective of New York. And yeah, it's just fun to see. And, he captures how many, how cars are everywhere.
Yeah.
And also like he's drawing so many cars. Like
Oh,
he's,
yeah.
he's not shying away from the hard things. Like, just putting that many cars in one panel is, I don't know. When you were 19,
I don't want to draw him
how
now.
You
proficient
know,
were you at drawing cars?
yeah, but at the same time, if like now I'm getting a little ahead, but going into the second issue, he gets more into just wanting to tell the story, and he doesn't do as much reference to New York. It's more so just talking heads, a lot of jumping and fight scenes without much backgrounds. I mean, there's backgrounds there, but he's not referencing New York too much in 5051.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and to be fair, there's like, I think that's like the one. Well, yeah, this is the one page, I guess, where we get to see New York.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we get science labs and
Yeah. Super science labs. I've created a self-thinking robot to kill Daredevil. Oh, do you want to use that self-aware machine to do anything else? Nope. Just assassinations, please. That's all I want.
yeah, and yeah, this is another thing is when you're tasked with drawing like a big city, or when heroes are wandering around New York City, how often do we see like a park?
Mhm.
Which
Um,
is strange because, like, if you just look at a map, Central Park
yeah,
takes up a huge amount of that island.
I guess like
Right.
dealing with the iconography of New York, you don't really want to draw Central Park,
Yeah,
but
that's true. Yeah.
but but that's why I find it interesting is this is like an outsider's approach and like maybe and there are stories of him of Barry Smith like living out of his suitcase in Central Park. So
Oof.
that might have like at around the time that he was producing this stuff. So that might have played into him incorporating uh, this in there. Like you could just think that like Barry Smith is growing up on Marvel Comics, and he's like, "Wow, nobody ever draws Central Park, but like look at how big Central Park is." And so that just thinking that could play into his thinking of like putting a park scene in the middle of this New York battle.
I love that left-hand page, second panel. He's doing uh, heat waves, distorting that figure in the background.
Right? Yeah, it's a
Mm.
very cool effect.
Yeah, like it's how wild is that? How often do you see that applied at this time? Like now, you could probably do it with a filter, like a wave filter or something on Clip Studio or Photoshop, but he's doing that by hand.
Yeah.
It always looks better when it's done by hand than when it's
Yeah.
done by a filter too. There's a, I mean, there's an interesting like sort of ink effect there, and is that like a mistake in the inks? Like, did somebody spill ink
Like the
on
bottom
there?
lip, yeah. Yeah, it almost
So
looks like somebody took like the side of a dry brush and kind of slapped it down.
Hmm.
yeah, because there's no other signs of that effect in this comic. So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it could have been on purpose, but
Hmm.
yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but like
It'd be interesting though.
if it were a mistake, they would have whited it out. There was a time
Yeah,
when for whatever reason Stan got it into his head that Iron Man's mask needed a nose, and
right.
dictated that, and then forgot and said, "Why does he have a nose?" and ordered like the most recent issue he saw, white out that nose.
Yeah, so there's like 3 issues in a row, I think, of
Yeah,
4 of
yeah,
Nose Iron Man.
yeah. Just like this little triangle on his face.
This is interesting because this predates the direct market. There were no comic shops back then, so you have 2 full pages here of like people selling comics, like comic collectors, comic book new low prices,
Yeah.
just Marvel Comics checklist. So
I also like the too skinny. New scientific discovery helps you put on weight.
Hmm.
Girls, do you want to be thicker than a bowl of oatmeal? Well, now
yeah, it's fun to see these ridiculous ads.
play guitar in 7 days. Be a magician.
Oh, actually, I think there was a funny bit here where like Daredevil comments on his asbestos treated costume.
Oh yeah,
Did you guys catch that
I
somewhere?
I
did. Yeah,
think I
like
did, yeah.
Both my speed and my asbestos treated costume will get me through the flames.
Matt
So,
Murdock died of mesothelioma several years after surviving a murderous robot.
Well, who
but he
knows what
never
he
got
had
burned.
splashed into his eyes? It probably made him immune to asbestos. Asbestos.
Could you imagine if that was
Yeah.
like canon? Like,
Yeah.
oh, none of us can get cancer, actually. Why? Because that's what superpowers are.
'Cause it's a
They're
radioactive spider making
yeah.
immune to cancer. Yeah. Uh,
So yeah, so I mean, the story is kind of it starts off with a battle with this robot, and it ends with Daredevil still battling this robot. And I guess the one thing that shifted is now the robot is sent to kill somebody else.
It does
So
feel kind of like when he says stream of consciousness, it does feel stream of consciousness, right? Like, oh, I'm going to go get the guy that now I'm here at this prison. Wait, what happened to the robot? Oh, it was sent also to kill the guy. Like it just kind of, it does feel a bit unstructured, but
mm,
although it is kind of there's a poetic nature to this ending where like
yeah,
where this gangster sends a robot to kill Daredevil, and then the robot gets reprogrammed to kill the gangster, and then Daredevil tries to show up to save that gangster, but he knocks Daredevil out before realizing that he's about to die
true. Yeah.
from this robot showing up to kill
yeah.
him. So, and then that continues directly into. Is there anything interesting here? Yeah, so we covered that last issue or last episode where they talk about Steve Parkhouse, but
Hmm.
uh, this continues directly into the next issue. So here we have Daredevil number 51, and with this one, Roy Thomas takes over, which Barry Windsor-Smith has a long collaboration with Roy Thomas going forward. Famously, they worked on Conan together.
Right on.
Which I think they both have public disagreements on the record of how much who wrote how much.
No. Marvel
That's
creators have a
so.
disagreement about who did what?
For Conan or for this story?
Well, for everything, like as I
Yeah.
said earlier, Barry Smith basically said that he wrote a lot of this stuff, and then he would write margin notes to explain to the writer exactly what was going on, and then the writer would come in and add dialogue, and then they'd get sole writer credit, which I think Barry Windsor Smith like looks back on that, and he just accepted that that's just how it was. And it wasn't until later that where resentment started to build that he said, like, this is wrong. like
Mm-hmm.
he's writing this stuff and he's not getting a writer's credit. So I believe Roy Thomas says that he actually wrote quite a bit of this stuff, and you know, there's he said she said, but I will say that there's a growing list of creators who basically say this about Roy Thomas. So take with that what you will.
Can
There's
I?
also the possibility that, like, when Barry Windsor-Smith says writing and when Roy Thomas says writing, they're not actually talking about the same thing.
That is a good point
That's true.
because
Yeah.
of the credit writer. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. Does that mean plot? Does that mean dialogue? Does that mean both? Does that mean just the general flow? Like, you can't really know, because even if you ask them now, is that what you meant 40, 50, 60 years ago? Who could say?
Yeah, and there's also a debate of like how much dialogue can contribute to plot. Like if the characters are like saying stuff that you could argue is driving the plot forward or explaining stuff deficient in the visuals, then you can argue that like, well, it's more than just dialogue. It's yeah, but that's a whole can of worms right there.
Yeah.
When it comes to creator credits back in the day, I mean, I know that Roy Thomas most recently Disney started crediting him as co-creator of Wolverine. For
Yeah.
whatever justification he has, I'm not going to get into it. But I know that Roy Thomas, went through, uh, like he actually put a lot of effort into getting the rights for Conan for Marvel to publish, and he was very invested in that book, and he's still tied to it till this day. He keeps doing Conan stories, up until 2025. So I think that he was. It could be said that even though Barry Windsor-Smith he thinks that he plotted. Do you know if he plotted those stories like the Frost Giant's daughter and all that kind of stuff, or is it very contested in that way? Because
I mean, that gets even messier because that's an adaptation of
yeah, I was about
of
to
a short
say,
story
yeah,
too.
like so
Yeah.
how could you like, it's hard to
Well, I mean,
differentiate.
the biggest point to take away from it is that Barry Windsor-Smith in those comics did not get a writer's credit,
Mm.
and he should have. He should have got a co-writer credit, considering how much he was doing. Uh, I mean, even just like taking a short story and pacing it out on your own. But Roy Thomas would say that he gave script outlines, and so yeah. When it comes to the Marvel method, I think we on this show have firmly, like, our firm stance is that like Marvel method, the artist deserves a co-writer credit.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
So right here, like to my mind, Barry Smith here deserves a co-writer credit,
He does.
but
Yeah.
Mhm.
he's just credited as artist. But yeah, here we have like an interesting 4-panel page, which is like signature Jack Kirby. But you get the hand popping out of the panel, which is fun, and
Yeah.
they say like a no, like as one of the reasons that if you ever get a critique from like an editor and they'll say don't break the panel border is because this might disrupt the flow and like
Yeah. It kind of
I mean,
suggests you go down, not
yeah, and
ups.
we all read this and we had no trouble reading it properly, but there is just a danger compositionally with doing something like this. I will say that you can break panel borders, but you just have to be smart about it.
Yeah, I can't remember where I heard it, but it was very early when I started thinking, oh, I could draw comics. And it was, well, you can break rules all you want, but you got to know the rules before you can break them.
Mhm.
And you got to know why there are rules as
Yeah.
well, so that when you break them, you're breaking them
For,
intelligently, I
yeah,
guess.
for a reason. Yeah, like what are you doing? Well, in this case, you're giving a Barry Windsor Smith is making the panel feel more 3D. He is still directing you to the next panel, and he's letting you know, oh, Daredevil is out of this picture. Like he is out. He's not going to be involved in this very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a fun bit where like we're gonna see a bunch of this stuff, and we've already seen a bunch of this stuff. Like when in X-Men 53, Blastar is a new character in the Marvel universe, and Barry Smith adds Blastar to the X-Men, like he's a fan who's like drawing Marvel comics, and so he introduces this gun that was first seen in Avengers Special #1. So you can tell that Barry Smith is coming up with this stuff and just having so much fun playing with Marvel continuity.
Yeah. Love
Look
that.
at this Kirby Tech gun.
Yeah,
Although
great.
I don't know who drew Avengers Special #1, so maybe that isn't even a Kirby Tech gun. But
Let's see. Avengers.
yeah, what is Avengers Special? It's not an annual, unless
No, because
that
they were
is
called king size at that point.
right.
Avengers.
Sounds like it would be like a reprint book.
It could have been with like a new short story. The only thing I'm seeing that comes up is I think it means king size special #1. They're not
Okay.
going to put king size in there just to save on space, but I think that is what they're talking about.
So then is that the annual?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
came out 67. September 67 was the cover date, so July.
Yeah, and who drew that?
It was Don Heck.
That Don Heck.
Although there are several stories in here. Don Heck, Don Heck, Don Heck. Oh,
There
he's
were probably
drawing.
reprints as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
he's
some
drawing all.
inventory stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, because they
And
were
then
all
we
like
get
weak stuff.
we get some more Kirby Tech here because we get like signatures of Kirby Tech with like the spirally kind of wires and and this is definitely Kirby Tech right there.
Oh yeah,
No doubt about that.
But you notice, Eric, in this issue, it's not that he does away with it, but there's a lot less reference to New York in this, and it's more so of he's just trying to just tell the story, relying more so
yeah,
on figure work and that sort of thing, talking heads
yeah.
and whatnot.
Star Saxon is just in those well-known woods just outside of town of New
Yeah.
York City.
He's just driving through Central Park, I guess.
I guess, which I think might be possible on
Is
roads.
it
I don't know.
Central Park or Bear Creek Park? Like,
Yeah, like he's just driving in the woods. But this
is
is
that
something
Rocky Point?
that also shows up. Like you can see it as far forward in from this as Werewolf by Night. Shout out to Bronze Age Monsters podcast for teaching me more about this. Set in L.A. takes place in what appear to be boreal forest woods, despite being set in Southern California all the time, just because they need woods for the story. Right? They don't care. It's not important enough to worry about what's just outside of town or what environs are available. It's just what does this story require right now?
Yeah, and these are assembly line comics. You kind of have to pump them out and just like not think too hard about it and not like sweat the details. Well, as a creator, don't sweat the details. Just like get it done.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine this is what Barry Smith's like fourth Marvel comic, and you could see how he pumped out his first one in a weekend, and then in the Nick Fury issue, it looks like he labored over the page design, and you do get to a point where you have to get it done. And although there's a lot of clever page design here, it doesn't look as labored over. Just because you just start running out of time. You got to get this stuff done.
But you also said earlier, Eric, that Smith did this in more of a stream of consciousness
Just
way.
the story.
The story,
Yeah.
but I mean, as he was working on it too, he was just pumping the pages out. I mean, this was a 3-issue consecutive run. If he did the X-Men comic in a weekend, like how long do you think this would have taken him for what, 63, 66 pages worth of work?
That's a good question. It seems like around this time, every Marvel artist, everything was divided up into roles. So you're just the penciler, you're just the inker, and so it obviously shouldn't take as long as nowadays when most artists are doing everything. But I you do see pencilers producing like 2 or 3 issues a month.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
So I'd imagine
Like
if I were
Dan
to
DeVore.
guess, like these deadlines were like,
yeah.
get 20 pages done in 2 weeks.
Mm.
If I were to guess, but you know, something to keep in mind is that he had a deadline.
Before you flip, I want to pull focus to the left-hand page, bottom section of it, where he is putting together. Star Saxon is putting together who Daredevil is, and he's got that. This is to certify that Matthew Murdock, and it's Matt's law degree, and the reflection of. I think it's the reflection
Oh
of
wow, yeah.
Star Saxon looking at it hanging to put together, oh, I'm in Matt Murdock's house. Ah, now I know who he is. Like, he doesn't
Yeah,
even need to
actually, I
say
was a
Matthew
little
Murdock,
confused.
eh? This is the apartment of that blind lord. Like, you don't even need that. You could have it be just, huh? Okay, now I know who he is.
So I'm a little confused by that. Like, that's a card he's looking at, and that's his reflection on the card, or what
So
is
if you
going
look
on
at
there?
the panel below, it's his right next to his figure. To the right of his
Oh,
figure
right.
is that degree in what I'm assuming is something like this, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
framed with glass over top of it, so you can see it's his reflection.
So he does a lot of that. You can see it throughout all his 70s and 80s where you have no gutter space.
Hmm.
It's just a border, and especially on this page. And I always read that stuff wondering, like, what is the decision making process? Like, when does he choose not to add a gutter and when to add a gutter? And I still can't fully figure it out. Like right here, I think it would have been a easier to read if there were gutter space, because this kind of looks like the same panel. But at any rate, I think the conclusion I've come to is that the decision process is just like variety in the look of the page and just making an interesting looking page. And the the page just looks more interesting when there's variety, when some panels have gutter space and some don't. And I think that's the explanation. But yeah, I'm not sure. What do you guys think?
I agree. That's probably what's going on. I often read it as events happening in such quick succession that you're not bothering with the space and time between them. But uh,
And that makes sense on this page too,
yeah.
because when we get rid of all line when we have 3 pages or 3 panels that appear to be just one, I guess these are a panel sequence that should be read the quickest, right?
Mhm.
Hmm.
As Daredevil's falling. So
Well, but even
that makes
like
sense.
him swinging through the ones on top of that too. But you're right. Like the law degree and interior of the apartment, it kind of reads like he's thinking about it. He's thinking about a card with his own face on it, but Matt Murdock's name. Like it doesn't read as cleanly as it probably should.
Right, yeah. This is a fun bit where we have like a tech shaped panel. Like the panel is the tech, which can you guys think of when Kirby has ever done something like that?
No, no, that feels more Steranko-y than anything.
Yeah, I think there's one time where he did it. Let me see. So I've got this New Gods book. So I
Oh
think he
well, New
did it.
Gods is
I think he did it in like the 80s, actually. Like basically, maybe 15 years after this came out. So
the Hunger Dogs thing.
yeah. So you're thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Where is this? But and actually, I think it's kind of a cheat though, because they were pages that were reworked, and so I think he had to do something you know funny with the pages to, or somebody in production had to do something funny with the pages to, because this is from Hunger Dog, and you can see the like there's extra border at the bottom here.
Mm.
But yeah, so we see on the edges here.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
playing with Kirby tech is like a border.
yeah, it's definitely not something he often did. Although,
I think this is the only example of him. Yeah, and we get it here as well.
yeah, which I wouldn't call the same as this, right? Because the tech shaped border is also doing the job of saying of letting Star Saxon know what? No, it isn't possible. Somehow at the last moment he's thwarted me again. Right? It's
Yeah.
transmitting. It's like the intermediary computer between the robot and that hexagon thing that Saxon has in his hand. So it's relaying the off message to him and to us.
Yeah, and
It's complicated.
primarily it's just a really cool looking page.
Yeah.
like first and foremost. Especially with these figures standing in space. And that's something that I guess this can get a little every now and then, but like with us like picking apart the storytelling, but like first and foremost, like is it a cool looking page?
True. Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's I talk a lot about priorities. Like some artists, their number one priority is the storytelling. Some it's the inking. Like is it going to be the coolest inking around? And some people it's just fucking cool pages.
Mhm.
Like, and yeah, I don't know. Like that's something that like we can pick apart the technicals often, but like these are really cool looking pages.
you see the melodrama going on in this story with this in this double page spread here.
Oh yeah.
How do you think? I don't know. There's just I don't know. It almost reminds me of Steranko a little bit, especially if you turn the page again. That first
Yeah.
panel. There's a lot of psychedelic type of stuff going on there.
Yeah,
Oh,
it does.
definitely.
Yeah, it has that feel of, oh no, I've been dosed with super hallucinogen. I got to get back to Shield HQ.
I don't know what it is. This feels so 60s to me, and I don't know what it is about it.
I think it's the different colors and the disembodied head. But you know what's weird is I don't know that it's 60s so much as what we remember about the 60s.
Right,
This
yeah.
this actually makes me think more about, and this is kind of backwards though, but Johnny Beyond, the Doctor Strange character in Alan Moore's 1963 story.
1963.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost more like a. But this does happen in 1969, so maybe it's just the pop art sensibility.
Yeah, even just with his posing and yeah, definitely the colors.
Yeah.
And this is fun talking about Barry Smith as like a Marvel fan doing a Marvel comic. This is a reference to a Steranko comic that had come out only a couple of months prior to that. We've got Essential Captain America here. So this is April.
Oh, 69.
So yeah, actually, it was only like number 110 is what he's referencing was in February. So it was only a couple of months prior to that, and it's this poster that which we can see in color here. It's this poster is on the wall, and you get an example of like how Steranko is playing with timing in a way that like not a lot of artists were playing with timing back then. And speaking about like artists and deadlines and how much they're able to do, this run is like well known because Steranko did 2 issues for a 3-issue arc and then fell behind schedule, and then Jack Kirby had to do issue 112 as an album issue, basically just like a what in sitcom parlance is a clip show. And then Steranko came in and finished the story the very next issue. So doing creative panel layouts and stuff like that is not conducive to a deadline. With assembly line comics. So, but that's fun that this poster that Captain America is walking by. A couple months later, Daredevil walks by.
To Eric's point, if you want to see a good example of assembly line comics, make sure to pick up Assorted Crisis Events on your out now. Number 5 is definitely an example of all the work that always goes into these sorts of books, but especially issue number 5.
Oh, much appreciated. I should put you on the payroll, Taylor. The original art for this page was up on Heritage Auctions, so I guess I can flash it up on the screen where you can see how this fun effect works. Although I don't think we looked at it in another Barry Windsor-Smith episode. I don't think we were able to figure out how that effect was put on there.
No, it almost looks like a stamp, I guess. But even that, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, in order to do that color hold, it needed to be a separate. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, like, is he putting it on there? He must not.
Well, there is a note to Saul Brodsky. So Saul Brodsky who was the production manager, was he?
I think it was, yeah.
And so there's a note on the original art for him to do something. So so there was a unique production aspect to the printing process to cover that. Now this page is wild.
Yeah. I mistook it for an ad at first, just briefly.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, the previous pages. Yeah.
So. It's like bad placement with the ads because it does kind of look like that. But I mean, this is some pop art right here, isn't it?
Okay. It really is. I wonder why they don't put any color in it, though. I get why they don't put color in ads. You're not paying for that, but why this?
Yeah, that is interesting. I wonder what the decision-making process was there.
Yeah, why not just lay like magenta or something down?
Huh. Yeah, that's a mystery there. And that's another thing is we don't know who colored this. Like there's no color credit, which I mean it was seen as like an in-house production back then, so you didn't credit whoever was working in the production department back then. I don't know it would be interesting to look up, like at what year did Marvel start crediting colorists?
Yeah, I wonder. I think the best you could probably say is it's Saul. It passed through Saul Brodsky before heading out the door, and that's if he saw a problem, he would have sent it back. But other than that, I don't know who you would.
This romance panel just kind of reminds me of to some extent it's a little unfair to constantly be talking about Barry Windsor-Smith's influences, but I guess that's part of the fun for us is to look at this early work and see where all this is coming from, because he was very much inspired by these two artists. But do you guys see what I'm seeing when you look at that?
Wait, let me see.
Well, I mean, yeah, and this is maybe a bit of a reach, but like this is a really famous sequence right here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, especially with just the breaking up of the moments.
The layering, it gives you. I think it's supposed to be giving you kind of a mishmash of, or the feel of the kinetic emotions, I guess. Like kinetic emotions. It's like the confusion that Matt Murdock is undergoing here with his attention being split and being happy that Karen is talking to him again, and it's him, right? Like you're so faint, pale. What's going on? I think it's supposed to be trying to communicate this kind of discombobulation that he's under.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because part of the story is that he's dying here of like there's radiation in his blood or something. So
it's not asbestos.
Yeah, yeah. He's immune to that. Let's see. I did find something about colorists. So colorists were not credited, at least in Fantastic Four, until issue 130. January 73, where Petra Goldberg was added to the
Mm,
credit box. So I guess that's probably around the time
mm.
that starts happening.
73, okay.
Yeah,
Better late than never, I guess.
I guess, but I don't know. Like one of the main draws of comics for so long was that it is a super cheap form of entertainment that comes in color. Like for a kid, TV for a kid is free, but it's usually black and white. Movies, same thing, but that costs money. But
And
this
it's a
is
one-time thing. You watch it, you're done.
yeah. But this, it's like, well, you can watch it. You can read it as many times as you want. You can trade it with other things. They're all in color. Um, it was a big selling point for it to be colored. So it's weird that they just don't say who did that.
And these colors are so good. Like I love this effect right here, which
Yeah.
I think in the last Barry Windsor-Smith episode, you what did you say, Taylor? That the digital edition looks like a German flag. Like
Yeah.
so, it'd be handy to. I'll pop up the digital edition uh, right here to contrast with like everything wrong with modern reproductions of these
Yeah.
old colors, because this looks like a clear gradient and it looks so good,
It
but it
does.
does not look like a gradient in the modern reproduction,
No,
which
it's
is like
just like,
ruining the effect
yeah.
completely. And I should note that this stuff is we're filming this in 2025, but in 2020 all of this stuff is going to be reprinted by Fantagraphics with a faithful reproduction of the colors. So I cannot wait for that hardcover to come out.
Yeah. That's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a gem of a book. But I mean, yeah, this is just so fun. This is another sort of like thing that, again, like I don't know the process, but it has, there's with the printing process, there's the CMYK plates, and I think they had to probably add an extra plate into the printing process to do this effect. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Oof. Yeah. Could you imagine being on the production line and getting this? Like, oh my God, I got to put another fucking plate in. God damn it.
Yeah, somebody complaining in the print production, going, "Oh, we got another Steranko."
Yeah.
Another kid who thinks he's Jim Steranko coming in here.
Although, could you go back to the banded one, the gradient? Aside from the gradient, there, it's also a wild illustration of Matt Murdock
Yeah,
passing out and melting
like is that
into,
supposed to be Murdoch's face?
I guess, or just like malevolence in general, or the
Might be
memory
Saxon's
of,
face.
of Saxon, or like what could it be? But the effect is amazing. I love the weird. You can see it. You can feel like if this were animated, how they flow into one another,
Mhm.
Yeah,
which is so
definitely.
hard to do on a 2D printed page.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very cool. And so next up, we have the final issue of this three-parter, which to the audience, we've extensively gone through this issue. Although this is the second episode of the Barry Windsor-Smith chronology, we did have a prelude episode where we talked about his styles, and this was like a prime example of his Kirby style that I introduced. And so, for anybody watching this who wants to see a more extensive look at this issue, we did talk about this issue quite a bit. Although that was a digital version, and this is the much better newsprint original version.
Yeah,
So,
I have to say I misread this cover. Uh, I figured it was more like that Nick Fury cover where he's like being chased by something, about to jump off a cliff. Like that's how I read it. It took me a while for me to get. Oh no, we're on the street looking up at a building, and
oh,
Daredevil and Black Panther are kind of falling towards us, and Star Saxon and everybody else are kind of dancing on the buildings. Is that what's happening?
Okay, hold on a second. These are buildings. I'm seeing this cover differently for the first time. Oh, is this how you saw it too?
For
I
the
did see
yeah.
it as buildings, though. Yeah.
Oh my god. I thought it was some sort of weird like pop art kind
Me
of.
too. Yeah.
I also kind of saw it as I thought it might have been like a kind of a chessboard that Daredevil and Black Panther were running through, and these were
Yeah.
like chess
Something.
pieces
Some
on a
kind of
chessboard or something like that.
this abstraction of
Well, I
playing a
mean, you
game.
didn't look too long at it, did you? You just kind of took it for granted and actually dove into the book more so. Uh, I only knew that it was buildings probably for this episode. When we first reviewed it, I didn't think
Yeah.
anything of it.
Yeah. Me too.
Wow, this is blowing my mind. It's so obviously buildings, but yeah, it's just the grid threw me off. Yeah, I
Mhm.
Yeah.
don't know. It's a very interesting cover.
Night of the Panther. This was I loved this opening.
Dude, this opening is everything to me.
Yeah.
Page two
It's
and three.
Oh
it's
Yeah.
yeah.
so good. It's
He was 19. The fact that they gave him 2 pages to just like do this whole let Panther breathe, his introduction, like it must have blown them away.
yeah. Yeah, especially because he's not using like that top panel, that doesn't have it doesn't have any figure in it, right?
No.
It's just setting the scene of tenement building rooftops. Like, just as a
Yeah,
reminder, this is where he's tumbling and vaulting through.
and I wonder what the thinking process is because it's kind of a double page spread,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
not.
it's interesting that he starts the third page with another establishing shot there. They may as well have merged as a double page spread, but I don't know.
I don't think they can print it that way at this time. I don't think it's possible for them to print like that. They have
Oh,
to
is
have.
that so? So
Yeah, I
when
can't
was the
remember
first?
when Oh, we found that out in the Batman Year One, where they couldn't print all the
They
way.
couldn't, yeah, the full bleed. They couldn't go full bleed,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So then, how would have double? When was the first double page splash?
Well, I mean,
Oh, yeah, but
so
then they do that.
months
Yeah,
before
well,
this, but this
Well,
this is an '80s reprint of, but like probably a year before this was Jim Steranko was doing double page spreads in.
yeah,
But I think they were like there was actually a huge gutter space. So I mean, this was earlier in that same year as the Daredevil issue, but again, this is not a faithful reproduction of what the actual floppy looked like. I I think I've seen versions where there's just literally a big gutter space in between,
hmm.
but I'm not sure. I'd have to hunt that down.
What number is that?
Captain America 110
Oh,
and
Captain America.
111.
okay, I found some scans of it, and yeah, there is gutter space. Most of what you see online will be digital scans and then pasted together to get the full effect. But I'm seeing a scan of the 2 pages, and there is gutter space between them.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, it was newsprint, and it was like super cheap printing, and so
Yeah.
they weren't doing full bleed.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right, so that makes a lot more sense then, especially if you know. Well, I guess you don't know that, but you're not thinking of it. Man, he really plays with camera angles going through this. He's
Oh yeah.
really he's a lot more compared to the previous two. He's a lot more interested in low shots and yeah, canted angles and stuff.
Yeah, he's just always keeping things interesting.
Hmm.
So yeah, we're referencing Avengers 63 and 64, and not long after this Daredevil comic, Barry Windsor-Smith will do 2 issues of Avengers. So
Stay tuned.
yeah, like I mean, we've gone through this before in the previous episode, but I just love how I love the flow of this page.
Hmm.
Just
Yeah,
looks so good.
it's so weird. It's it's a reminder that are there rules Yes. Are they laws? No. There's, like, as long as you do something good enough, you can do just about anything in a comic.
Yeah, and you know, Barry Windsor-Smith is one of the best to do it. But I mean, as I've said in previous episodes, this is his experimental era, and it doesn't last long. He goes back to just regular grids going forward. It is a lot of work to come up with clever page design, and it's not really conducive to the assembly line monthly schedule.
No, yeah, especially because this is now during Marvel's breakout period. Like I think they've only had their own distribution for about a year or so at this point.
Hmm.
So they have to deliver on these books, right? The Perfect Chemical and Processing Company that purchased them is expecting, like, you are hitting deadlines. Yes, you are an investment. So let's
Although
not.
going into the 70s, that fell by the wayside, didn't it? Because the
True.
whole thing with Jim Shooter coming in was that he was tasked with ensuring that books started coming out on time. Just
I
because
think
things just went a
that
little.
I think that fall behind is the result, though, of like, once licensing became a bigger thing, with like Mego figures and T-shirts and stuff. I think, well, as long as it's producing money, it doesn't have to be through the books necessarily, but it does need to be producing money.
Hmm.
And licensing can produce money. So as long as you're keeping these characters alive, and eventually you can only push that so far, and that's when Shooter is tasked with making these trains run on time.
Check out that double page splash or that single page splash there.
It's rad.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there.
this is like, I mean, Barry Smith says that this era is like klutzy and amateurish, but they're still damn good-looking comics.
I wonder what he means by that. Amateurish. Like, what's he referring?
Well, I mean, you could pick apart quite a bit about like although is stylistically going for Kirby, like the anatomy is pretty off. Like if we were to have Barry Windsor-Smith himself like pick this apart, I'm sure he could explain all the anatomical problems and you know the yeah, I don't know. It's also just like it's not him. It's not. This is not. This is the essence of Jack Kirby. This is not the essence of Barry Smith. He's
Yeah.
not found his individuality yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Which,
Yeah, and
like, he
you
will.
could argue he's just a knockoff of Kirby, which I mean, a lot of the mail coming in to Daredevil and after his X-Men issue, there was a lot of unhappy people saying this looks like trash. But
Yeah. Well,
That's so.
but like the mainstream audience, like you show them something wild and crazy and different, and you do get a lot of like a lot of people angry, but that's usually the most fun stuff.
Mhm.
Like this,
the audience doesn't necessarily know what they want, right? The audience, the audience thinks they want what they've already seen, and I think a big part of being an artist is having the conviction to be able to say, no, I think what you actually want is this new thing. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you get uh, letters from fans saying this is trash, and other times you get Star Wars. But at least Barry Windsor-Smith is swinging for these fences, right?
oh, he definitely is. That's something you can't take away from him. Is that he was trying to impress, and he's a storyteller through and through, right off the bat. Like and I think that's one of the things that he prizes in himself the most is his storytelling, and I don't know, I love it so much. He's one of the best comic artists to ever do it,
Yeah.
And that's part of why we're doing this series of episodes, tracking his development, because it is so fun to see a legend slowly come into his own.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think you'd argue too that if it takes 3 issues of trying new things out for him to discover personally what does and doesn't work, I mean, that's a fair investment,
Mhm.
right? They're
Mhm.
still fun, they're still dynamic, they're still kind of weird. And he now knows, oh, you know what? I really need to put more time into the anatomy of torsos, or I need to make sure that my perspective is more on point, or whatever, or just I got to move away from Kirby. That's not a bad trade off.
Yeah, definitely. And like he learns so much about who he is and who he wants to be just by doing the work. And that's the important thing, is just do the work.
Mhm.
Yeah, artists out there. Yeah, Taylor, do the work. God.
Just like Piscor said, draw the damn thing.
Yeah, draw the damn thing.
Okay, so yeah, that was episode 2 covering Barry Windsor-Smith's evolution. The next episode, which might show up in a month or so, which I would tell the audience, like, expect this in about a month.
Yeah.
We have issue 66 and 67 of the Mighty Avengers.
These were fun.
These are great.
Interestingly, this comic is the first appearance of Adamantium.
Really?
Yeah.
Best designed,
So-
best like fake name in any fiction. I'm gonna say Adamantium.
Yeah? Do you think so?
I think that sounds like it could definitely be a real thing.
It's so what is it worth $40 now, and the rest are worth 10 each? You know how
I don't know. I mean,
pack issues are
I got it.
consistently a certain price, and then adamantium would be just $40. It's an
First
expensive
appearance of
dinner,
Adamantium.
and the rest are a cup of coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this might be worth a little bit more, although I don't think it cost me too much. Like, surprised I got these like reader copies so cheap. Like, they're still in fairly good condition. But yeah, here's a preview of what's to come. Look at that. We get
Betrayal.
Barry Smith Thor. But yeah, expect that episode later. For now, yeah, we're all artists. So what have we been up to? What have you been up to as an artist, Colin?
For this episode, it's not ready yet, but it's ready now. The audience is seeing it for the first time. I did a Daredevil drawing. There it is, right there.
Damn.
Man, you're not good with deadlines, Colin.
You know,
What's,
I think it's just our shooting schedule. I'm always running to catch up. You know, I'm always turning in
yeah.
the drawing like the night before the episode goes live. It just happened that way. But I'm trying to be consistent with at least making sure something is shown every episode. So
When I was a kid, I would do my homework the night before, like the last minute.
yeah, you and me
What kind of
both.
kid were you? Did you do your
Same,
homework right
same.
away, or
Exactly
Yeah.
the same. Yeah.
what about you, Taylor?
I would do it right away. Get it out of the way. Just sail through those last.
Fucking Millhouse.
Well, because I actually
What a
used to
loser.
do.
Yeah.
No, because I used to do the same thing, and then my mom just pointed out to me, this really stresses you out when you do this. Why not just do it immediately when you get home? Then you don't have to think of it. And
Yeah.
it clicked in my brain that, like, oh yeah, if I did do that, I could.
At least do a better life.
Yeah, yeah.
Gets
Was
you
the
to enjoy
homework
yourself.
done any better?
Yeah.
No, I still did it in the same amount of time. I just moved it around.
Oh man. Well, I mean that translates to how you handle deadlines. So yeah, I'm right up until the wire. I'm adding and subtracting to pages, just fixing and adjusting and. But yeah, what about you, Taylor? What have you got?
Okay, so I want to preface this by saying that in a previous episode, Eric suggested that I find some episodes on or some videos on YouTube about how to properly do watercolor transitions and stuff after I think it was the last Barry Windsor-Smith episode, and I took that to heart and I think this turned out pretty well. This is inspired by by two things. One, the sailing and tumbling through the air that Daredevil and Black Panther do throughout 52, and two, it's a tribute to What's Up Danger, the sequence in
Oh
The
yeah,
Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse.
yeah.
Yeah, or across the
That's
Spider-Verse.
where
iconic sequence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So,
will admit I swiped that pose from a Pepe Larraz.
oh yeah,
I wanted to
Cool.
focus on the actual like gradation of the buildings and everything.
That's real cool.
what was the watercolor effect that you learned and applied?
So the base layer of this is it's a transition from dark to light in that green tone. Yeah, so this green tone. So a lot of the stuff up here is that original color, and then getting it lighter as it goes down to give the effect of street lights kind of bouncing up during the
Very cool.
night. Yeah, um, and I think it worked okay. I tried to throw some reflections in there. Don't know how successful that was, but that's not really the point of this piece specifically. It was more trying to get a consistent background that the bread that would then pop against.
Cool. Well, I should say that in about a month from the airing of this episode, we should get the trade of Assorted Crisis Events. So
Hell
it
yeah.
collects the first 5 issues. So that's just what I've been up to. I'm currently working on Arc 2, but yeah, expect the trade in course soon. It's
Cover for issue 5.
I think it's already on Amazon. I think I saw
yeah,
the
but
link.
I would suggest people buy it at their local shops. If you don't have a local shop, yeah, buy it off Amazon. But we gotta
Yeah,
support those local retailers. They're the lifeblood of the industry.
100%, 100%. Yeah.
But
Close
not
this out.
everybody has a comic shop near them. So, but yeah, let's shall we close it out?
All right. So before we go, just a friendly reminder that Assorted Crisis Events is available now, and you can order your copy at your local comics retailer. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.